Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about 20 things you've probably heard about sugar gliders that aren't true. The first myth is sugar gliders don't bite. That's not true. They have teeth, they will bite. They will bite either because they're feeling attacked, maybe they're curious, maybe they're bored, maybe they're smelling something yummy. Sometimes, not often, they will bite. If they're not bonded to you and they are scared of you, they might bite more often. Either way, even the most bonded sugar gliders can sometimes bite, and sometimes they can even draw blood. So, myth busted. Second myth is that sugar gliders only need a diet consisting of pellets and apples and maybe some carrots too. Not sure, but either way, it's not enough. Sugar gliders need a healthy staple diet. I will add the link in the description box below to suggie info where you can have a look at the recommended staple diets. I'm using the SGS2 and I have a whole video on that one as well. Just so you know, pellets and a couple of pieces of apple and carrot will not do it. They will not provide the vitamins and nutrients the sugar gliders need. They will live on that diet, but they will most certainly not thrive on that diet. The third myth is that your suggies will bond with your other pets, for example, dogs or cats or birds or other pets that you might have in your home. I'm not saying that's not true, but I'm saying you should not try to find that out. Even if the pets are not trying to hurt the sugar gliders, they might just be a little bit too aggressive while playing with them and hurt them, or let's not forget the most important thing, sugar gliders react really bad to cat saliva. So you don't want them to come in contact with your cats or with their saliva just because they might get seriously ill from it. Myth number 4, they only need a small cage. No, they don't. Not when they're young, not when they're old, never. They do not need a small cage and they should not have a small cage. I've actually just read this only a couple days ago. I was doing some research about sugar gliders because I always am somehow. And there was this article that some vets came to the conclusion that sugar gliders only need a small cage and they're very happy with it and they will bond easier that way, and that's not true at all, and it kind of makes my blood boil. They need space. They need a lot of space. They're sugar gliders. They need to glide around. They need to move around. They're very active and they cannot be active in a small environment. So please, even if you have just a young sugar glider and even if you have a small cage right now, make sure that you update to a bigger cage because they need a space. They need to move around. It's very important not only for their health but also for their mental well-being. And I do mean a really small cage. In my opinion, the smallest cage you should use would be a double critter nation. And I do mean the critter nation because I know that there's a ferret nation as well, and the ferret nation is not suitable for sugar gliders. That is the smallest cage you should purchase for your sugar gliders, for a couple sugar gliders. And personally, I would say that you can keep a maximum of 4 in there, but you know, that's just personal preference. Still, please don't just purchase a very small cage and think that's enough, because it's not. Myth number 5, they don't need a wheel. Not true. They need a wheel. They need to move around. As I was saying, in the wild they move around a lot. They need the exercise. It's also very important for their bones that they move a lot, so that's why a safe suggie wheel is very important for them. Please don't purchase any wheel. Do your research. Again, suggie info, link down below. Look at the safe wheels that you could purchase. I have 2 freedom wheels in my cage, and my suggies are very happy with them, and I'm very happy with them because they are so quiet. It's incredible, and they're so easy to clean. And this is not sponsored in case any of you thinks that, but purchase a good, safe, and recommended wheel For your sugar gliders, make sure that they move enough. By the way, if you want me to film a separate video on wheels, which wheels to use and which to avoid, why they are safe or why they might not be safe, please comment below and let me know, because I could film that for you too. Sixth myth is that suggies don't smell. I love this myth so much. It's just so persistent. It doesn't go away, but it's not true. They smell. If you keep their cage pretty clean, the smell is barely there, but it's there. And if your males are neutered, they won't really smell. If you feed them a good staple diet, they won't really smell a lot. But nevertheless, they're animals, they're living beings, and they do smell. And I know some of you might feel tempted to clean their cage thoroughly so that the smell goes down. There's a little tip for you. The more you clean, the worse it will smell. You always have to leave something dirty inside their cage, something that smells like them. I usually leave a couple of toys lying around uncleaned, or don't change their pouches when I clean their cage, because if the cage is completely cleaned and scent free, they will go crazy and overmark everything. So please don't do that. Accept a little bit of smell in your home, in your room, wherever the suggies are, and just live with it, because they're animals and they like to feel at home, and this is how they feel at home, by smelling their group. Myth number 7 is that sugar gliders do not need a companion. That's not true. I know a couple people have solitary sugar gliders and they're doing fine, but that's really a very rare exception. Most of the times, sugar gliders get depressed, stop eating, start hurting themselves, and eventually die because of depression when they are kept without a suggie partner. And a human is not a substitute for a suggie friend. We might spend a couple of times with them in the evening or during the day, but that's just not enough. They need someone to play with during the night when they are awake. They need a suggie friend, not an animal from another species, no birds inside their cages or whatever. They need other sugar gliders to play with. So please, 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 do not buy a sugar glider if you don't have the money to purchase a second one. There are no excuses for this. There's no I can't afford more. If you cannot afford 2 sugar gliders, it's better if you just save up more money and then purchase both when you have the money. Just don't buy 1 sugar glider, please. Myth number 8. Sugar gliders are great companions for small children. Actually, they're really not, because I do remember specifically my neighbor came over to my house when I got Nala and Daisy. That was a couple years ago, and I think she was 7 at the time. And kids are very bouncy and loud and curious, and she really, really, really wanted to touch my sugar gliders. Now, I did allow her to do it, but they were on me the whole time, and she was really careful. But I just could not imagine a small child that age being able to take care of sugar gliders. They're not hamsters, they're not birds. They need a lot of care. You need to be very careful when you hold them. You don't want to hurt them. I explained to her that she has to be very gentle when she touches them and when she strokes them, and she did help me because she was very curious, and she helped me feed them, but they're not good pets for a small kid. Suggies might get very spastic around young children, and they might not know how to handle them. They might escape and hide somewhere. The kids might hurt them when holding them. So if you do allow them to interact with the suggie, make sure that it's supervised and that the kid is able to touch them without harming them. So please just keep in mind that sugar gliders are not good presents for small children. Myth number 9 is that sugar gliders are very quiet pets. And that is especially funny to me because I have a very passionate singer among my suggies, and that is Lily. Lily loves to bark so much, so often, and it sometimes drives me crazy, but what can you do? They're sugar gliders, that's what they do, and I can live with it. But can you? Barking is not the only noise they like to make. They like to hiss, they like to play, they like to fight, they love loud toys. They make a lot of noise during the night, and they are nocturnal, so they're awake the whole night. And if you're a light sleeper, I am one actually, then you might not want to purchase sugar gliders. Though, to be honest, I don't mind. I'm a light sleeper and I wake up every single time when they're barking or when Daisy is being a little bit snarky again, but I don't mind at all. Sometimes I go to the cage at 3 a.m. in the morning when Lily does not want to stop barking. I take her out, I walk her through the apartment a couple times, I sing to her and then she will stop barking. That's the times when she's barking because she's scared, and that's what calms her down. But of course, a lot of the times she just barks just because either she wants attention or really I have not found a reason yet. So you have to be okay with them barking and making a lot of noises. You will not have quiet nights if you purchase sugar gliders, and you really have to be okay with that. They're not super loud, but you can hear them. So really, if you want to have very quiet nights, sugar gliders are not the pets for you. Myth number 10 is that sugar gliders do not breed with their offspring or their parents or their siblings, and that they somehow know that they're related to each other, and that's why they will not breed with each other. And they will, and that's not going to be pretty because either the offspring might be sick or the parents can eat the baby, and that's not a pretty sight. They can have health issues later in life or even when they're still very young. The mom can reject them. No, don't do it. Don't risk it. If you have shuggies that are related to each other inside the same cage, please make sure that you neuter your males and avoid inbreeding. Squishing them makes them feel calm and makes them feel secure. If it were that easy, we would all have a great bond with our shuggies, but it's not. By doing this, you do not make them feel safe and secure. You basically dominate them and they just accept the situation as it is and stop complaining. But it does not mean that they feel calm, safe, or secure. It's just not good. This is not how you form a lifelong bond with your sugar glider. Sugar gliders don't need a vet like cats and dogs, so they are more inexpensive to keep because they don't need vaccinations or other preventative treatment. Generally speaking, they don't need a vet like a dog or a cat for preventative measures, but you do have to have a couple vets available in case anything bad happens, so that's just not true. They do need a vet. Younger gliders bond better. Some people say that when you purchase your shuggies very young, they will bond easier to you. The bonding process does not depend on their age. It depends on a lot of factors. Age is not one of them. If they have been handled as joeys by the breeder, so they are used to human contact, they will bond easier. If their parents were used to human contact, they will bond easier. If they spend a lot of time with you and they are not scared of you, if they get a lot of treats from you and just a lot of attention, they will bond. Bonding also depends a lot on their personality, but it does not have anything to do with their age. For example, Daisy came to me while still very young and she is very independent. She does not like to be handled too much, so I don't push her. Dobby came to me at 13 years old and he was by far the most bonded sugar glider I've ever had. So it's not necessary to take shuggies away from their parents while still very young because it does not have any influence on the bonding process. So don't even consider purchasing very young gliders or separating them from their parents while they are still very young because it's not good for their health and it's not really going to help with the bonding at all. Sugar gliders can wear a leash. A leash is not good for your sugar glider. I know there are a lot of types of leashes, the ones that go around the neck, the ones that go around the neck and the belly and whatever else, they're all bad. They can choke them, they can hurt their flap between their limbs, the patagium. That's just not good under any circumstances. Do not purchase a leash, do not put a leash on them, please don't, it's not safe. Same goes for diapers. They can hurt their patagium and that's never good. The vet visit will be way more expensive than you having to wash your t-shirt because your suggie peed on you. Sugar gliders can be litter trained. Have a lot of fun doing that. You can try and it might work to a certain extent, but no, not really. It just doesn't work that way. Sugar gliders go whenever they need to go and you can't really stop them from doing that. If you want to keep your clothes clean or the environment wherever you're playing, just wait for 10 minutes after they've woken up. Leave them inside their cage for 10 minutes, then they will do their thing and then you can take them out and they will probably not pee on you as much, but still that's also a way of marking you because you are their possession. So they will pee on you and you can't potty train them. And they're not cats that you should play with wet wipes around their pee holes and it just doesn't work that way. You can't potty train an infant and you can't potty train a sugar glider. You have to accept it the way it is. If you like sugar gliders, you will come to terms with it, as I have. Your cats or dogs will not bother them. Suggies are small and spastic and they draw the attention of bigger animals. They look like a very cute, fluffy and playful toy and the cats or dogs will try to play with them and sometimes they might be too harsh and hurt the suggies and sometimes they might be very hard and kill the suggies. So they don't have to smell like rodents to entice the animals because a feather or a tissue or a laser pointer does not smell like a rodent and it's still very enticing to cats. You don't want to risk it because it's very dangerous. As I mentioned earlier in the video, they do not react well to cat saliva. So no, they do not get along and cats will not ignore them simply because they don't smell like rodents. I do have to say, a couple people did mention that their suggies got along really well with their cat, and I'm really happy and relieved for you that it worked out for you guys, but I do not recommend in any way that you let your suggies play with your cats or other animals just because they should not interact with each other. Solitary sugar gliders bond better. Solitary sugar gliders are more stressed, more insecure, and most certainly not easier to bond with. On the contrary, because they are very stressed and scared, it might become even more difficult to bond with them. They will not bond with you just because they want to spend time with you. The sad fact is that you're the only living being they get to spend time with. So is that the way you want to build a relationship with your sugar glider? By making them sad and depressed? I think the fact that you're watching this video right now just shows that you're very interested in doing the right thing for your sugar gliders. So don't even consider purchasing only one because it's easier to bond with them. You will just have a very sad sugar glider that will see you as their only comfort, and that's about it. That's very sad. Feeding insects will make suggies stink. While it might be true that a diet high in protein will make them smell, it's usually not the case. Especially if you are feeding a staple diet, they're very balanced and you should not feed a lot of insects anyway. With some staple diets, like for example the SGS2, insects are not even required, they're just an optional treat. But giving them insects does not make them stink, and offering them a healthy staple diet does not make them stink. The smell comes from bad cage hygiene, a bad diet, bad snacks. My suggies get insects every single day. They also get some protein from their SGS2 diet and they don't stink at all. It's simply not true that if you feed them insects they will smell. It's just another thing that has been said to make people purchase pellets instead of feeding a proper diet. Sugar gliders can and should be bathed regularly. Getting sugar gliders wet is very dangerous for their health. I know some sugar gliders are used to this by now because I do see a lot of videos on YouTube from owners bathing the sugar gliders with cold water, and I'm just terrified for the poor suggie. It's not necessary to bathe them. They are very clean animals. They clean themselves. They don't smell bad at all. They smell like sugar gliders, but that's a normal smell. And keeping them wet for a prolonged period of time can cause certain issues. They are very susceptible to lung-related issues, for example, pneumonia. They shouldn't be kept in drafts. They shouldn't be kept wet. If they get wet, make sure that you dry them really well and keep them warm until they're completely dry. Don't use a blow dryer because it's very bad for their skin and for their ears. But no, please don't bathe them. Don't even try it. It's not worth the risk. Our 20th and last myth is that their teeth need to be trimmed regularly. And the fact is that suggie teeth do not grow constantly, they just grow and stop. And I know that sometimes when you're taking a picture of them, because it happens quite often to me, and at first I was a bit shocked, if they're eating something and you're taking a picture and you take that picture at the exact perfect moment, you will see that their teeth, their bottom teeth are very long. And you might get concerned that they need to be trimmed, but that's just how they are. They have very long teeth down here. It's very normal, and they should not be trimmed. No, it's not safe. It's actually very dangerous for their health because they might not be able to chew their food properly afterwards. So please don't do that. This was my video on 20 things that people say about sugar gliders that aren't true. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up. The next video I'm filming is me answering your suggie related questions, so if you have any more questions that haven't been answered, please post them down below and I'm going to have a look at them and I'm going to try to answer as many of them in my next video. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more suggie related videos. And follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, or Twitter. I will add the links and names in the description box below. Thank you so very much for watching our video, and I will see you next time. Bye!